Beloved, draw nearer for a moment. Let your breathing soften, let your shoulders rest, and let the noise inside your thoughts quiet like a lake touched by evening. For I speak to the tender places of your heart, the places you hide behind smiles, behind strength, behind jokes whispered through pain. I speak to the places you think no one sees, the places where heartbreak settled like a winter that overstayed its season. You ask me, why must a heart break at all? And I tell you gently, a heart that never breaks cannot learn to love beyond its own borders. A heart that never shatters cannot understand the depth, the height, the breadth of the love I have woven into your being. Heartbreak is not the end of you. It is the opening through which your truest self begins to breathe. Listen, heartbreak is not a punishment. It is not evidence that you failed. It is not the universe conspiring against your joy. Heartbreak is a doorway, a threshold, a sacred turning. You stand at that doorway with trembling hands, wondering if you will ever smile fully again, wondering if you will ever feel whole, wondering if you will ever trust the warmth of hope without remembering the chill of loss. And I whisper to you, keep walking. The pain is not the final chapter. It is the ink that teaches your soul how to read its deeper language. For when a heart cracks, light enters. You know this instinctively. Look at the seed that must split open before life can rise inside it. Look at the sky that must break into storm before the earth drinks. Look at the clay jar that must be shaped by pressure, softened by water, and sometimes dashed apart to be molded anew. Do you think your heart is any different? You have wept at night, thinking the tears were evidence of weakness. But I tell you, tears are your heart's way of washing the broken pieces so they may be put together more wisely, more gently, more beautifully. You see shattered remains. I see sacred materials waiting to be formed into something only heartbreak can teach you to become. Perhaps you loved deeply and were not loved the same. Perhaps you trusted someone whose own wounds were louder than their promises. Perhaps you dreamed a future that never arrived, and now you stand in the rubble of disappointed hopes. And you say to me, Lord, why did you allow my heart to be broken? Child, I did not send heartbreak to wound you, but I will use it to shape you. For heartbreak reveals the truth of who you are. When everything is stripped away, your plans, your expectations, your illusions, what remains is the core of your being. And that core is strong. That core is radiant. That core is mine. Heartbreak pulls back the veil, and you see yourself more clearly. You realize what mattered and what never truly did. You understand that some things were lost not because you were unworthy, but because you were being guided toward a place your spirit longed for before your mind caught up. Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a tree grow tall without facing the wind? No tree flourishes in stillness alone. It is the resistance, the bending, the storm that strengthens its roots. Heartbreak is that wind. It shakes the branches of your heart, so the weakened limbs fall away, leaving only what is strong enough to bear the fruit of your future. You think heartbreak is a sign that love failed. But no, often heartbreak teaches you what real love should look like. It clears the fog of illusions. It removes the weight of connections that were never meant to last. It reveals the places where you gave too much, too quickly, or where you held too little of yourself. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young woman who carried her heart like a candle, open, warm, shining freely for anyone who walked near. She believed that giving her flame to others would make them glow as she did. And for a time, it was beautiful. But one day, someone cupped her flame with careless hands, and the wind of their indifference extinguished it. Her heart broke, not loudly, quietly, like a candle being snuffed out by a sigh. She believed the darkness meant she had lost her light forever. She wandered in grief, searching for the small glow she once knew. But in the silence of that sorrow, she discovered something startling. Beneath the gentle flame she had carried was a deeper fire she had never touched. A fire that did not flicker with someone else's approval. A fire that could not be put out by the wind. Her heartbreak did not extinguish her. It revealed her. So too with you. The pain you feel is not the end. It is the uncovering of strength you did not know lived within you. It is the beginning of discernment, the ability to distinguish between what fills you and what only steals your light. It is the awakening of wisdom that grows not from knowledge, but from experience felt in the bones. And yes, I know the ache. Do not think I speak as one who watched from a distance. I have walked through betrayal. I have felt abandonment press upon my chest like stone. I have known the sting of being misunderstood, rejected, wounded by those I held close. I have seen love twisted into mockery, compassion answered with cruelty, truth met with silence. And still I love, not because love is painless, but because love is powerful. And I teach you this power through heartbreak. For when you rise after your heart has been broken, you rise as someone who understands love not just as a warm feeling, but as a brave choice. You become a soul that knows how to love without losing yourself. You learn to guard your heart without locking it away. You discover that vulnerability is not weakness. It is the birthplace of genuine connection. Heartbreak teaches you boundaries that protect your spirit. Heartbreak teaches you self-worth that cannot be bargained away. Heartbreak teaches you to see others not merely as you wish them to be, but as they truly are. But most of all, heartbreak teaches you to trust me. Not because I remove every pain, but because I walk with you through it. Because I turn the shards of your sorrow into wisdom. Because I transform what tried to destroy you into a lesson that strengthens you. Because I take the pieces you hand me, trembling, unsure, hurting, and I shape them into something greater than what was lost. Heartbreak becomes holy when you place in my hands. And in time, you will look back and say, what I thought was ending was actually beginning. And yet, child, I know there is a moment, perhaps you stand in it now, where the lesson is not yet visible, where all you feel is the weight of the wound. You wake with heaviness that was not there before. You move through your days as if carrying something you cannot set down. You wonder why the world continues so loudly while your heart has become so quiet, so fragile, so unsure. Listen carefully. Grief is not the enemy. Grief is the guide. Do not rush away from the lessons heartbreak brings. Do not numb them, bury them, or silence them. Let them speak. Let them unfold like a slow dawn across the sky of your spirit. The ache you feel is your soul stretching, growing, reforming into someone capable of deeper love, deeper courage, deeper truth. Imagine a desert. Vast, unforgiving. When heartbreak arrives, you feel as though you've been dropped into that desert with nothing but your own breath to keep you company. You look around and all you see is emptiness. No shade, no water, no path. But do you know what grows in the desert? Strength, clarity, resilience. There is a revelation that only the wilderness can bring, and heartbreak often becomes that wilderness. It strips away distractions, illusions, and comforts you relied on more than you realized. And in their absence, you finally hear the whisper you have been too busy to notice. Kulme, I am here. I will lead you through. When everything around you changes, when someone you trusted walks away, when the future you imagined dissolves, I remain. I do not abandon you in the shifting sands. I walk beside you until the desert becomes a place of revelation rather than despair. And here is a truth few understand until they have walked through heartbreak. Sometimes I allow something to break because it was holding you back. Not every connection is meant to carry you forward. Not every hand you hold is destined to walk with you into the place I am guiding you. Some are meant only for a season. Some are meant to teach a single lesson. Some are meant to awaken you to your worth. And sometimes, beloved, someone else's leaving is the only way I could open a path for your arriving. You might say, but Lord, I would have stayed. I would have kept trying. And I know you would have. Your heart is generous, loyal, willing. But sometimes the very thing you cling to is the weight that keeps you from rising. Sometimes your love becomes a chain, binding you to a place that cannot sustain you any longer. So I let it break, not to punish, not to injure, but to free. Heartbreak becomes a key, unlocking what you did not know was locked. You rise from the ruins not because you are forced to, but because the ruins cannot contain who you are becoming. Let me paint you another picture. There was a man who built his home on a cliff overlooking the sea. It was beautiful, sunset spilling across the water, waves singing beneath his windows, breezes carrying the scent of salt and promise. But the cliff was fragile. Slowly, silently, it eroded beneath the foundation. He did not see it happening. He did not feel the shifting earth. One morning, he awoke to the sound of cracking stone. His beloved home split, crumbled, slid toward the ocean below. He was devastated. He cried out, asking why such beauty had been taken from him. But in time, he discovered the truth. The cliff was never safe. The foundation could not hold him. Had he stayed, the collapse would have come without warning, leaving him not just heartbroken, but destroyed. I tell you this, some foundations cannot hold the weight of your destiny. You may love the scenery, the comfort, the familiarity, but if the foundation is crumbling, heartbreak is the way I lead you to safer ground. And yes, the journey from the edge of that cliff to new land is painful, but it is also purposeful. For every heartbreak teaches you how to build again, this time with deeper understanding, stronger trust, and wiser hands. You begin to choose differently. You begin to listen to the quiet warnings you once ignored. You begin to honor the stirrings of your intuition, the nudges of your spirit, the truth I whisper within you. Here is another truth you rarely see in the moment of pain. Heartbreak teaches you to love yourself. You have poured love outward like a river, but now I call you to turn that river inward, to learn the contours of your own heart, to understand your needs, your limits, your desires, your dreams. Heartbreak forces you to face the parts of yourself you overlooked while trying to hold someone else's world together. And when you begin to love yourself, not with arrogance, but with honor, you see the past with gentler eyes. You no longer blame yourself for another's inability to stay. You no longer measure your worth by how someone treated you. You no longer diminish your light to make someone else comfortable. You realize you are worthy of a love that sees you fully, hears you completely, and chooses you freely. And this realization, beloved, is one of the greatest gifts heartbreak can give. For heartbreak is not only a teacher, it is a revealer. It reveals who truly stands with you. It reveals what truly matters to you. It reveals strength you never recognized. It reveals desires you buried under compromise. It reveals the parts of your soul longing to awaken. And above all, it reveals me, not in the way you sometimes imagine me, in thunder, in miracles, in grand gestures, but in the quiet, steady presence that holds your tears, lifts your chin, and whispers, "You are not alone." Let me ask you something. What did you feel me most deeply? Was it when life was effortless? Or was it in the moments when your world fell to pieces and you needed me more than ever? Sorrow clears the space where my comfort enters. Silence creates the room where my voice becomes unmistakable. Emptiness opens the door where my love fills what has been lost. Heartbreak does not drive me away. It draws me near. And when you emerge from the valley, tired, changed, softened, you learned something extraordinary. You survived. You made it through what you thought would break you forever. And now, you carry a wisdom carved not by ease, but by endurance. You carry a compassion for others who suffer. You carry a depth that cannot be taught by serenity alone. Pain becomes your teacher. Grace becomes your companion. Transformation becomes your destiny. And you begin to see that heartbreak was not the end of your story. It was the turning of a page. And as the page turns, beloved, you notice something stirring within you. Something small at first, like the faint tremble of a seed pushing through soil. Hope. Not the naive hope that once clung desperately to outcomes, but a mature, grounded hope. A hope shaped by truth, refined by sorrow, strengthened by endurance. A hope that whispers, "There is more for you than what you lost." For where heartbreak empties, I fill. Where it tears, I sew. Where it wounds, I heal. Yet healing does not always look like you expect. Healing is not forgetting. Healing is not pretending it didn't hurt. Healing is not forcing yourself to move on before your spirit has learned the lesson. No, healing is the slow, sacred process of reclaiming the parts of yourself you gave away without realizing their worth. Healing is remembering who you are. Let me give you an image. Imagine a potter sitting at his wheel, a lump of clay spinning under his hands. He presses, shapes, pulls, molds. The clay resists. It wobbles. It collapses. But the potter does not discard it. He wets his hands, lifts the clay, and begins again. If the clay cracks, he does not abandon it. He works through the crack, strengthening the walls, smoothing the edges. I'm a potter. You are the clay. Heartbreak does not mean you are flawed beyond repair. It means you're being reshaped. The collapse is not failure, it is formation. For I am not making you into what you once were. I am making you into something you have not yet imagined. You ask, why must the shaping hurt? Because transformation often requires pressure. Because truth often requires the removal of what is false. Because love, real, deep, fearless love, often requires the breaking of the shell that protected you, but also confined you. And so, I press gently on your heart, not to crush, but to form, not to wound, but to strengthen, not to diminish, but to prepare for what you ask, for a future that requires the version of you that only heartbreak could awaken. And do not misunderstand. Heartbreak does not only change your heart, it expands it. Like a vessel stretched to hold more wine. Like a horizon widened after a storm lifts. Like a night sky opened by the scattering of clouds, your capacity for love grows. Not the fragile love that fears loss, but the courageous love that knows loss cannot destroy it. You have learned now that you can survive what you once thought would end you. And because of that, you will love again, differently but more deeply, with wisdom in your eyes, with discernment in your spirit, with strength in your boundaries, with softness in your kindness. You will see red flags sooner. You will nurture your own worth more fiercely. You will not chase what runs. You will not beg to be seen. You will not shrink to fit the comfort of another's insecurity. Heartbreak has taught you that love is not proved by suffering, but by mutual honoring. Love is not the sacrifice of your identity, but the sharing of your authentic self with another equally willing to share theirs. Love is not the endless giving to someone who cannot receive. It is the flow between two who choose each other freely. And let me tell you, child, when you reach that place, when you grow into this new understanding, when you rise with the wisdom forged from sorrow, you become a different kind of soul. A soul with depth in their gaze. A soul with poetry in their scars. A soul with compassion carved into the seams of their heart. A soul who can look at another hurting person and say, I know, I've been there. You're not alone. This is how heartbreak becomes your greatest lesson. Not because it destroys you, but because it rebuilds you. Not because it steals your joy, but because it reveals your capacity for joy. Not because it ends your story, but because it transforms the way you write the next chapters. You might not see it yet. You might still feel the sting, the silence, the longing for what was familiar, even if it no longer fits. You might still revisit memories like old rooms, opening doors that echo with voices no longer present. This is natural. When something breaks, the heart tries to make sense of the pieces. It revisits, re-examines, replays, hoping to rewrite the ending. But child, understand this. Closure is not found in the past. Closure is found in the acceptance of what the past has taught you. Do not search endlessly for explanations. Do not torment your soul with hypothetical scenarios. Do not blame yourself for another's choices. Sometimes the heart seeks answers where none exist. Sometimes the questions themselves become chains. Let them go, not because they don't matter, but because they no longer serve your becoming. Listen to me. You're not defined by who left. You are defined by who you are becoming. And who you are becoming is radiant. Let's speak of forgiveness now. Not forgiveness as a dismissal of pain. Not forgiveness as permission for someone to return. But forgiveness as the release of the bitterness that poisons your own spirit. Forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is for you. It is the unclenching of the fist. The exhale after holding your breath too long. The loosening of the chain around your own chest. Forgiveness does not say, what happened was acceptable. Forgiveness says, I refuse to carry this burden any longer. Let the burden fall. And when it falls, your heart opens again, not to the one who broke it, but to the life waiting beyond the wound. Now, beloved, look ahead with me for a moment. Imagine a version of yourself months or years from now. Imagine the healing that has taken root, the clarity that has sharpened your vision, the peace that has settled like a sunrise over your soul. Imagine the wisdom etched into your spirit, the boundaries formed with gentle confidence, the joy that returns with quiet certainty. That version of you is real. That version of you is already growing. That version of you is waiting. And one day, you will look back on this heartbreak not with bitterness, but with reverence. You will say, that was the moment I began to awaken. That was the pain that taught me truth. That was the breaking that led to my becoming. You will see that nothing was wasted. Not the tears, not the silence, not the confusion, not the loss. All of it was shaping you, preparing you, refining you. For heartbreak is not the enemy of your destiny. It is often the path toward it.